Thiago Motta that needs to take his head against the wall like that. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I hope you are all doing well. I'm not going well, absolutely not. The first thing I do, as usual, when I wake up is looking if I missed something in the few hours that I was sleeping. And yes, I missed something, and something big, and it makes me pissed off. I tell you, my first reaction when scrolling and I watched that Nico Gonzalez injured himself with Argentina was, this is a troll account. I can't believe what I'm reading. This is not possible. It's, you know, these fake accounts that are reporting fake news to make people going totally crazy. Well, this is what I thought it was. So I verify sources, 1 source, 2 sources, 3 sources. It's true. Nico Gonzalez injured. I told you 2 days ago, I made a video about that. In La Continassa, we are obliged to work in the central part of the field because the wingers are not there. Well, we have a bigger problem now because not only they are not at La Continassa, but probably we will have no wingers against Empoli and probably even more. So put a maximum of like if you still have the strength to do it. Maximum of like, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for yesterday. We reached 33,500 Juventini of the world on this channel. Thanks to you guys. We don't stop. We continue. So comment also, give me your reaction, your predicted lineup against Empoli if you want in the comment section, because now we start. Nico Gonzalez yesterday at the 51st minute of Argentina, I don't even know against who they played, injured himself. Ankle injury, disaster. It's a disaster. We don't know how much he will miss. He will do some tests. He will probably miss the game against Colombia. I don't know if he will go back to La Continassa at the J Medical to understand how serious it is, because at the moment as we speak, we don't know. There is nearly one certainty. It is that he will miss the game against Empoli when we will go back, when we will resume Serie A, and of course PSV, that is a few days later, is also at risk, and it's a problem. It's a problem. Then of course you will tell me the most negative ones, the most skeptical ones, but we told Juventus Football Club to look at transfer market in that injury list. We said that it was a player made of glass. Look, I don't want to go too much into fast conclusion because I didn't even see the video about how he injured himself, just pictures that are not telling too much. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. Hopefully it's just a knock on the ankle. We will discover it later today. But it's a problem because yesterday we were already negative in speaking about injuries because Francisco Conceição injured himself, and there we know it is a muscular injury. It's a problem there. Yesterday I made a short about it if you really want to know where it is, where he injured himself. But the diagnosis of yesterday that I couldn't tell you in the morning video is that not only he will miss Empoli and PSV, but also probably Napoli, Leipzig. They are going towards 1 month absence. So forget about Conceição in the month of September. And it's really a pain in the A, because I don't want to say too much. It's really a problem, because we know in the Mercato we were saying we have a real problem there. We don't have enough quantity up front. Yes, we have a lot of midfielders. Yes, we have defenders, but we don't have enough wingers. And Juventus was able, with Cristiano, Giuntoli and team in the last few days of Mercato, to sign some players to reinforce that. We're trying to also add Sancho. A lot of people were saying, including myself, where do we play Sancho if we sign him? Because we have enough players now. We discovered Bangola, there is Yildiz, Conceição, there is Nico Gonzalez, etc, etc. Wea, because we forget about Wea, we have enough players there, so Sancho, is it really a must? Well, looking at the situation today, a Jadon Sancho would not have been too much, honestly. 2 days or 3 days ago, I told you what I wanted Thiago Motta to work on in La Continassa, and of course looking at the available players, I was really focusing on that center of the field. The left part of the field is totally absent between injuries and players that are traveling around that are not at disposal. It's totally absent. So I told you, look, we are obliged to work on the center of the field. I would love to see Bremer, focusing on Bremer, Locatelli, Douglas Luiz partnership, inserting Koopmeiners and Dusan Vlahovic. Then, of course, you can still work a bit on the right side with Kalulu and Conceição. Conceição is not there, and it's a problem. Also, Gazzetta dello Sport, they wrote an article that was published this morning. They didn't know yet about the injury of Nico Gonzalez, but they came to the same conclusion as me 2 days later, but they came at the exact same conclusion. Now it's time to focus on the center, because these are the available players. One of the big keys will be to insert Douglas Luiz from the first minute. I tell you, if we don't see Douglas against Empoli or against PSV in Champions League, well, we can start having some doubts about, is he ready for this Juventus? Will he work in this Juventus or not? And how long will we need to wait? I'm still confident that Douglas can start in one of these two games, if not the two games, especially because we have no wingers. So we need to reinforce our central part of the field. Not Douglas Luiz only, but also Thuram and also Koopmeiners will be key in that midfield that we were all dreaming about. A midfield, a starting midfield made of these three players, the three new faces of Juventus. Well, look at the situation that we are seeing now in the total team that we have with the injuries. We see that we have all our players, yes, because we have 25 players with Arthur that I still didn't put there. Why? Because I still didn't see any picture of him being reintegrated, but we have a big problem. The first one that caught our eyes is the fact that on the right side of the field, the three right wingers are all injured. Wea, that is on his way to recuperate, but still not. But we have Conceição since yesterday, and since this night, we have also Nico Gonzalez. That's why I have put there Cambiaso, because it's the only option if we want to continue to play in a 4-2-3-1. What is the problem of Cambiaso being there? That he's the only one there is no sub for Cambiaso on that side, but also that you are actually taking one player from our defense, which is causing a problem, because then you're obliged to play with a Cabal on the left side or a Rui. But without Cambiaso, you know that the game is changing. We saw it against Roma. Without Cambiaso, these extra options in that midfield, the solutions that we are offering, creating, you know, like one more man in that middle of the field is missing. So Cambiaso missing in the defense is really a problem in the tactical part of Thiago Motta's way of playing, and that's a real problem. Then off top of that, Milik, I still didn't see him training, being in form or not. So also them question mark, will he be able to be called up for the game against Empoli or not, or maybe against PSV. The latest reports are saying that he can potentially dream or put in an objective to be there against Napoli. The problem, of course, is without the three wingers there, you're also limiting the Vice Vlahovic options. We know it. Nico Gonzalez has been considered one of the players that could play in that position. Without Nico, it is a problem. So we see that now we have already on the 6th of September a lot of problems. Yes, Thuram could potentially be there, but at the moment Thuram is still not training with the team. Yesterday we saw it in the good morning videos of Juventus, where they posted the funny jokes, who has the worst haircut of Juventus Football Club. At a certain moment you see Vlahovic that is saying it is Thuram, and Thuram you see training isolated, alone. So he's still not ready to train with the team. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, hopefully as soon as possible. And that's why I'm thinking we need to change. Against Empoli, we need to change. Maybe Thiago Motta, this morning, when he heard about Nico Gonzalez being out, he was starting to think, what can I do to actually have a lineup that is starting, but also alternatives on the bench? And that's why this morning I came up with a potential 4-3-2-1, leaving alone for a few games the wingers. 4-3-2-1. Also with some players on the bench that you will tell me, Beppe, but why? Because we are not considering only the Empoli game. I know that I always told you, like all the footballers and coaches, we need to think game by game. The next one is not important, it's the one that we need to play now that is important. So let's not do too much calculation. On the other side, I think that when you are preparing these games, when you have a few days, you need to think about alternatives. Thinking also about what is the next one that is coming. What is the schedule of the month of September, where we have a lot of games. And that's why I put the 4 men in defense with Kalulu instead of Savona. Why? Because Kalulu will have these 2 weeks of preparation with Thiago Motta, and we need to test him at a certain moment. Savona, that is a guarantee for Thiago, can potentially play against PSV after him being with the Italian national team of under 21. I will come back on that, how he played yesterday towards the end of the video. That could be the potential defensive lineup. 3-man midfield. Why? Because with playing with 3-man midfield in that 4-3-2-1, you are leaving alone a bit the wings that are at the moment not enough, where you play with Locatelli, Douglas Luiz and Fagioli. Maybe that's without Thuram yet. Maybe he can come up in the Champions League game, but without Thuram could potentially be the way to start Douglas Luiz. And then up front, no wingers, but two number 10s, Yildiz and Koopmeiners behind Dusan Vlahovic. And why am I doing that? It's really conscious, because you are resting Cambiaso that will start in Champions League. We can't fail the start of Champions League. You have that. You have a Weston McKennie that can potentially enter, and also Bangula. Towards the 60th minute, depending on the game, you can potentially go towards a 4-2-3-1 with Cambiaso as a right offensive winger. 30 minutes for him just to, again, play and be ready to play against PSV, with Yildiz that can shift on the left or stay as a number 10 depending on the physical condition of Koopmeiners, with Bangula on the left. Can potentially be one of the possibilities, and who knows, if we are doing well in the beginning of the game, maybe even see the first initial minutes of Adzic with Juventus. I told you that Gazzetta dello Sport was thinking absolutely about how to insert Douglas Luiz. They were saying, look, the ideal starting midfield is Thuram, Douglas Luiz, and Koopmeiners. At the moment, Thuram is not ready, so we'll have to find alternatives, and that's why I went with a three-man midfield, changing slightly the game, and also because Locatelli is there in La Continassa. He is not injured. He is, at the moment, doing a beautiful start of the season. A Locatelli that could have gone away from Juve during the transfer market. There was 1 week, 10 days, where we spoke about Locatelli, pay attention, can possibly leave Juventus after the first 3 seasons of Manu in Bianconero, where we were missing that step up. There was a real big call from an ex-coach of him, the one that trained him at Sassuolo. We are speaking about De Zerbi, that was just signing with Marseille, that really tried for Loca. Loca refused, said politely, no, I want to stay at Juventus Football Club. I am a Juventino. I believe myself that I didn't give enough to Juve. I didn't show enough who I am. The real Locatelli has not been visible. In some flashes, some games here and there, we saw good Locatelli, but now I need to excel. I need to do better. And the first 2 games of the season were in that direction. We are still missing that step up with continuity, also in big games of Loca, but luckily we have him. Luckily we have him. I tell you for what reason, because if you are seeing one injury after the other, because guys, Weah, Thuram, Adzic, Conceição, Nico Gonzalez, it starts to be really a lot. So we need a lot of players, and we also need a Kenan Yildiz. Already 2 assists for the Turkish number 10 from Juve. A player that is looking now for goals. Goals to add to his beginning of the season, because he didn't score yet. He wants to try it already this evening with the team of Montella in international break. Guys, when I'm telling you that the injuries in national break or international break, they already started with Conceição and Nico Gonzalez, it's not over. Huh? It's not over, because a lot of games need to be played still and continue, that will see our players involved. I told you 10 players around the world. Nico Gonzalez out. Let's see about the other one. So I'm really scared, and I'm worried about that international break. Tomorrow there will be Sport Week, a special edition that comes out every Saturday from Gazzetta dello Sport. The frontman, the coverman is Kenan Yildiz. All of us Juventini, we have a lot of expectation to him. One that we probably had no expectation in the beginning of the season, but that is doing extremely well, is Nicolo Savono. Yesterday I watched the Azzurrini, the under-21, because that was his first call-up. He played as a starter and he did extremely well. Of course, we were playing against San Marino. We won 7-0. By the way, congratulations to the first team, national team of San Marino, that yesterday won their first game in 20 years. Incredible. 1-0 again against Liechtenstein, and they won 1-0 again, the same result. And this one was the first real competitive game that they won in their entire history. Crazy. Congratulations to them, but I was really happy to see that 7-0 win from Gli Azzurrini, with a beautiful performance of Savono. He was absolutely not shaky. He was relaxed. He was confident. Beautiful performance from him. The growth of Savono in these last few weeks, months, is just incredible. So super happy for Nicolo Savono. This evening, France, Italia. When we see the predicted lineup from Gazzetta and from Tuttosport, we are going towards, again, Italy without any Juventino. Locatelli has not been called up, but even Gatti is not starting. Cambiaso is not starting, Fagioli is not starting, so it will be an Italian team that, according to me, is extremely weak on paper. Then you never know in football, against new France after that disappointment of Deschamps at Euro 2024. But on paper, there is no story. Then again, football is totally crazy. So Forza Azzurri, even if my biggest question mark, or no, let's say my biggest wish in that game is not that much the result of Italy against France. My biggest wish is hopefully our players, the Juventini, the 3-1 that has been called up by Spalletti, are not getting injured. That's my only biggest worry at the moment. Ragazzi, I hope you enjoyed that video. But no, when I'm saying I hope you enjoyed that video, the content is not great because we are speaking about injuries and we are already speaking about the 6th of September, about Thiago Motta that needs to take his head against the wall like that. That's what we are speaking about. And anyway, I hope I stayed with that. I gave you a beautiful, I don't know, I was with you and it was a nice time between us because the content is what it is. Grazie, Forza Juve.